Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 10th of August and I welcome you all to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. Guys, in the today's video, we'll take the entire analysis of the Hindu, we'll take all the articles along with the background and way forward. And I would also like to tell you that you can download the explainer notes of this session from our Telegram channel. Here we have given the entire notes of the newspaper. Here you can see along with the background we have given the news articles. So you can download this particular PDF. The link for Telegram channel is given in description box in YouTube. So from there you can download it. Now let's take the overview of the newspaper so that you can understand that actually which articles are going to be important in the newspaper for today. And I always say that the art of decoding that which type of articles are important, which type of articles are not important is very important, because if you want to read your newspaper at own, you need to know that. Now, the first article that we have here, Shah appeals for peace in Manipur. Rahul says BJP Manipur politics is onslaught on Bharat Mata. Nothing important has been given, guys, in this particular direction for the exam point of view. So directly we'll skip this. Develop indigenous web browser, grab cash prizes. Now, guys, here we see this particular thing that the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has come out with a scheme in which the developers will be invited so that they can make a web browser of India. Right now you might be knowing that we use, for example, Google Chrome. If you are an Apple user, you might also be using the Safari browser. Now these browsers are not India made. So develop indigenous web browser, grab cash prizes. So cash prizes amounting 3.4 crore rupees will be given to the developers who will be coming out with this particular kind of a browser. However, guys, you are not required to track too much in detail that what is the last date and all such kind of things for the exam point of view. Just we can write these particular things as a reference in the other answers. A full-fledged question only on this will not come. Okay. Then further moving on, city section, Rajya Sabha panel to probe complaints against Chadda. Nothing important for the exam, guys. Advertisements, tenders and the city regional issues have been given here. So directly we'll reach to the editorial page, and on the editorial page the first article that we have, the calculus behind political neutrality. So guys, here this particular article is filled with that so basically recently this alliance of the opposition party named India Alliance has been formed. So the article is talking about that the three major parties in this camp are who are the major parties and how they plan to take on the BJP and all such kind of things. So this particular article is largely talking about the politics of BJP, politics of the these political parties, that how they plan on taking up the BJP in the coming elections and all such kind of a thing. I have read this entire article. Nothing important for the exam has been given here, so I will not advise you to go and waste your time. That 70s show will see this particular article for the examination. This article is talking about the recent government of India's action where it has banned the import of PCs, laptops. We'll see this particular article for the exam. Then below we have article stop the fence sitting in cluster bomb use. We'll see this particular article for the examination. Then after that here we have article chasing consensus, the international community can push Russia and Ukraine towards the talk. Okay, so basically recently there was the Jeddah conference on the Ukraine war in which the 42 countries have participated, and they are saying that now the time has happened, more than 500 days have happened and this war should come to an end. Now guys, the article is just talking about that it is in the common good that the war should come to an end because it has brought a lot of miseries and crisis. But understand this particular thing, guys, that as right now nothing final conclusive have happened, so you are not required to track everyday statements or everyday developments with respect to the Russia-Ukraine war. Not very much needed. Then the anatomy of riot. Now this particular article, guys, is talking about the different riots that have happened across the country, and the article is talking about the riots and all those particular details of a particular riot. Okay, for example, here we can see that in Gurugram a mob attacked a mosque and killed 26-year-old imam. Fine. Again guys, in the article there is no academic substance for the examination, so we will not go in this particular detail. Then after that, coming to text and the context section. In the text and context section, we have some good articles that actually come and are important for the examination. So today the article is talking about, can SMR help India achieve net zero? So this is the small modular reactors. So we'll understand that what are the small modular reactors, how they are different from the traditional nuclear power plants that we have, and all such kind of things. Okay guys, I hope that my voice is clear. Actually, I have a sore throat, so I hope that the voice is audible. You are not facing any problem. Then moving on, bibliography article. So the bibliography article, guys, basically contains the premise from the some of the books. So basically it is talking about the plot from these three books: Women in Translation, a unique gaze that opens up a world of new experiences. Then guys, the article is largely talking about these premises of the books. Fine, if you have an interest, you can read it as a leisurely read. Then further moving on, China goes 10 months without envoy in India. So guys, we have seen that the confrontation between China and India has increased a lot, and because of this particular confrontation, we have seen that neither there are the journalist of India in China or China in India, and even the envoy is also not there. However, this particular kind of thing needs to be addressed because talks needs to be there between the two countries. Then J&K Constitution limited executive power of Union of India, says Supreme Court. So guys, I have told you already this particular thing, that right now what is going on in the Supreme Court hearing on Article 370 is going on, because you know government in 2019 diluted the Article 370. So this particular hearing is going on, and every day the arguments etc. that are being made in the Supreme Court, they are provided. You are again not required to follow it every day. Then after that Ro Khanna to raise human rights issue, nothing again important here. Again guys, this entire page is filled with the political commentaries. To curb price rise, center to release more food grains stock by open market sale. We'll see this particular article. Then after that, China's economy tips into deflation. Nothing much important for the exam have been given. Then here we have one article focusing on 13th Amendment without policing powers. Practical Ranil tells House. We'll see this particular article for the examination. Then Amazon nations to jointly fight deforestation. We'll see this particular article also for exam. And then we have the sports page. So that is all guys, the overview of the newspaper, and now let's discuss all the relevant articles one by one in the detail. So guys, every class we start with the GS quotation, and this quotation can be used to complement your answer with respect to the GS paper number 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay. Now today we'll take the quotation from Mahatma Gandhi ji. So Mahatma Gandhi says, keep your thoughts positive because your thoughts becomes your words. Keep your words positive because your words become your behavior. Keep your behavior positive because your behavior becomes your habits. Keeps your habit positive because your habit becomes your values. Keeps your values positive because your values become your destiny. So this particular IT article guys, we will take with respect to the GS paper number 4, ethics, integrity and aptitude. Now within the ethics, there is the topic number 1 which talks about the ethics and human interface. So when we talk about the ethics and human interface, how one can be ethical. You can be ethical starting from becoming positive in your thoughts, because if your thoughts will be positive, then your words will be positive. If your words be positive, your actions will be positive. If action is positive, habits is positive. Habits is positive, value is positive. So guys, this entire thing can be used as in the value inculcation topic of ethics, GS paper number 4, topic number 1. I hope that you have understood it. Okay, that is all about it. And now let's take the first article, and here I can see some of the doubts. First of all, good morning to all of one. Chaya's doubt is there, how to make short notes. Chaya, I will try to make a video on this particular thing, because right now will not be able to address this particular issue here because it will take a lot of time and we might deviate. Then, sir, along with newspaper, what we should do for current affairs? Yesterday also I said the same thing, that just right now focus on one thing only. Once you have confidence that I have mastered this, then you can move to some other thing. If you want, for your comfort level, if you have, you can follow the magazines also, okay, but only if you have a comfort level there. I made a video on that also, you can see if you want. Can SMRs help India achieve net zero? Now, what this particular article, guys, is actually talking about. So basically, see this particular thing. First of all, let me give you some of the background information. Okay, guys. So basically, India has taken the target to become carbon neutral by 2070. And to be carbon neutral, we actually have to bring more and more energies from the renewable sources, from the nuclear sources, or from those sources which don't emit the carbon. Now, already, guys, if I give you the data as of today, around 51% of India's energy comes from the coal powered thermal power plant. Coal thermal power plant, our 51% of electricity is actually coming. Now, we are actually increasing the renewable energy. For example, we are going for solar, we are going for wind, we are going for hydropower and all such kind of things. We are going in this particular thing. But at the same time, we are not focusing too much on the nuclear power. Now, if I give you the data with respect to the nuclear power in India, then right now around 2 to 3% of India's electricity 2 to 3% of India's electricity come from the nuclear power. So this particular thing has been unexplored. Now, here we have the sustainable developmental goal. And when we talk about the sustainable developmental goal, we have the sustainable developmental goal number 7. And the goal number 7 provides to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable and modern energy for all. Okay, affordable, reliable, sustainable, modern energy for all. But if I tell you guys, the entire world, 82% of the world's energy supply, it is coming from the fossil fuels. And until and unless we reduce the fossil fuels in our energy, we can never reach carbon neutrality. We cannot reduce the carbon emission, and by that the climate change, sea level rise, nothing can be solved. No problem can be solved by that. Now, guys, if you see, right now we know Russia-Ukraine war is going on, and as this Russia-Ukraine war is going on, there is one more dimension that is coming out of this particular thing. See, Russia was a major supplier of natural gas to Europe, but now Russia is not supplying the natural gas to Europe. So therefore, now Europe has started consuming more and more. Coal consumption has increased, and because of that, carbon emissions will increase more. Now, guys, as carbon emissions are increasing, we are moving towards the renewable energy, for example, solar, wind, etc. But for that particular thing, guys, we need to develop the batteries. We need to develop the renewable energy devices, etc. And all of them needs a lot of critical minerals. For example, lithium, nickel, cobalt, rare earth elements will be needed, then lithium will be needed, and these critical elements requirement will go 3.5 times by 2030. Now, guys, understand this particular thing. Renewable energies are good, but these critical minerals are needed, and these critical minerals are located only in the few of the locations. For example, if just I talk about the rare earth elements, right now more than 70% of the rare earth elements are being produced by China alone, and we know that the China's equation with China's are not good. So few countries, for example, Golden Triangle in the South America, where Bolivia, Argentina, these countries have majority of lithium. So very few countries have them. So there were the geopolitical tensions that might increase if we want to explore these critical minerals, which will be needed if you need to go for renewable energy. So therefore, an alternative can be seen. An alternative could be the nuclear power plants. Right now, nuclear power plants just generate 10% of the world's electricity. Okay, So right now the nuclear power plants generate just 10% of the world's electricity, and we need to explore more nuclear power plants. Now when we talk about the nuclear power plants, actually they are very much efficient. Why? Because number one, in less land they can generate a lot of energy. Grid integration. What is grid integration? Suppose you have made electricity. Now that electricity has to be sent through wires to the households, to industries, or end place where that electricity will be used. So for that, a nuclear power plant has to connect with the grid, and that grid will supply electricity to the households. Okay, so grid connectivity is needed. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the nuclear power plants, grid integration is relatively easy. Okay, grid integration is also cheaper. Now understand this particular thing. If you want to develop 100 megawatt of electricity from solar, you need to have a lot of land. Hundreds and hundreds of acres of land will be needed. But in nuclear power plant, that much land is not needed. Grid integration is easy. Battery storage, you need not to invest too much in battery storage in the case of the nuclear power. Moreover, when we talk about the nuclear power can be generated 24/7 in all the kinds of weather. You cannot generate the solar energy in the night. You cannot generate solar energy on the cloudy days, on when the day is not very clear. In winters, solar energy cannot be in that quantity, it cannot be developed. But in nuclear power, we don't have that much kind of problem. Nowadays guys, what is happening, many of the countries, they are actually focusing on SMR. Now what is SMR? SMR stands for the small modular reactors. Now let's understand guys some things here. Basically guys, if you focus on this particular picture here, so first of all, we have the large conventional reactors. And these large conventional reactors will be producing 700 plus megawatt of electricity. These are the traditional nuclear power plants. Then we have the small modular reactors. In this particular article, we are talking about these small modular reactors. Now these are the small reactors which have the capacity of 300 megawatt maximum. Clear? Then there are the micro reactors also up to 10 megawatt. They are deployed for in-house usage by the big industries, by the big factories, or by big utility services. Okay. Today we are talking about the small modular reactors. Now when we talk about the small modular reactors, fine, they can be installed and decommissioned in the decommissioned thermal power plants. So guys, there are many thermal power plants which have lived or which have completed their full lives. Just these particular sites can be repurposed, and there these small modular reactors can be developed. It will save a lot of cost. So this is something that will happen. Then when we talk about the small modular reactors, they are actually more simpler to construct than the conventional nuclear power plants. Understand this particular thing, that first of all, these particular small modular reactors, they use less of the fuel, and because they use less of the fuel, if in case there is a nuclear meltdown and accident happens, environment and nearby region people might not be impacted that much. So it results in lower potential for the uncontrolled release of radioactive material in the environment. Then the amount of spent nuclear fuel is also less in these small modular reactors. Now guys, when you, for example, in nuclear power plant, you use uranium, that when that uranium will be used, unspent uranium, some leftovers of that uranium, so that unspent or leftovers will be less in the small modular reactors compared to the conventional nuclear power plant. Then after that guys, these SMRs can be safely installed even at the brownfield sites. Now these SMRs, they also require low enriched uranium. They don't need the high enriched uranium as it is needed into the normal nuclear power plants. After that guys, When we talk about these SMRs, they can simply be manufactured in a factory and could be assembled at a particular place. You don't need to make them from the scratch. They can be assembled on a particular site, and therefore it will save a lot of cost. It will save a lot of time. Then the third thing, I think the next thing, it is that basically when you talk about renewable energies, you need a lot of critical minerals. But here, the fuel, that uranium that is needed, it is widely scattered in many of the countries. It is not just concentrated in one or two countries. It is scattered across many countries. So we can get reliable source of the uranium regularly. That problem is also solved. Then recently, when the meeting between the Prime Minister of India and the US President happened, so in that joint statement, US-India joint statement that was signed, there was also the mention of the small modular reactors that were there. So now India needs to explore these small modular reactors in India. Now, further moving on in this particular direction, guys, when we talk about India, according to the Central Electricity Authority CEA, it projects that India's electricity requirement will increase in the days to come. For example, India right now is producing 2,12,000 megawatt of electricity through coal powered plant. It has to be increased to 2,59,000 by 2032 if we need to meet the electricity requirement. Then the next thing is that even the renewable energy is more, will be needed more. Right now we are manufacturing 130 megawatt of renewable energy. We need to increase it to 486,000 by 20. We need to increase it to 4,86,000 by 2032. The next thing that comes here is that, guys, if India wants to reach to the net zero by 2070, basically we need to invest more in renewable energy, plus along with that into the small modular reactors or in the nuclear power plants. Now that particular thing cannot be done by the government alone. So basically now government needs to bring some policy changes and need to do the expansion in the nuclear power plants. Government need to attract the investment from the private sector through the PPP route, so that they also come and invest into the nuclear power plants. Also, government needs to amend the Atomic Energy Act, and by the amendment of this Atomic Energy Act, government need to allow private sector to set up the small modular reactors. And at the same time, guys, storing of this fuel, storing of the unspent fuel, storing of the used fuel, all these particular things, wastage, how to dispose that should be the responsibility of the government of India. And in order to ensure that the private sector are not violating any rule, government also need to create an independent and empowered regulatory board that will see this particular thing. And finally, the Department of Atomic Energy must also improve the perception of the public with respect to the nuclear power. Many times people think nuclear power is not safe, and because of that particular thing, there is not much support to them. So perception also need to be improved. So that is all, guys, about this particular article, and I hope you have understood it. Now we'll move to the next article. That 70s show. We'll see this particular article with respect to the GS paper number 3, issues related to Indian economy. Now, basically, guys, just last week, what has happened? Recently, the government of India imposed a ban. It imposed a ban on the import of. It imposed a ban. Just a minute. On the import of laptops, personal computers, tablets, servers, and all such kind of things. Okay, and it was said that if you have to import them, then there will be the importer's compulsory import license that will be needed. And only if you have the import license, then you can import these particular items in India. Now, immediate ban was imposed on all these particular kind of things, but this impacted the entire supply chain. Understand, many people, they have placed orders for the laptop, tablets, their shipments are under the way, their shipments are in the transit. What will happen to them? So then government, what it did, government basically issued another notification and said that this particular order, which earlier was coming in effect immediately, will now come in effect from November 1st. Okay, this is something that is now going to happen. Now basically guys, such kind of thing has ignited fears that there will be the shortage, the price will go up. And if you see the festive season, Diwali's Navratra are also coming. So because of that, there is a fear that the prices will go up and there will be the shortage in these particular devices. Now government is saying that why we have imposed a ban. We have imposed a ban because of the security concerns. It has been said that many of the mobiles, laptops are coming from China and they can be used as a spyware. So to ensure that security concern is not there, we just want to allow particular importers. And government of India also said that it is a nudge, it is a reminder to the IT hardware producers that they come in India and they start their manufacturing in India itself, and India based manufacturers also will get a advantage by this particular scheme, and they will develop the manufacturing of the IT hardware, mobile, etc. in India. Now basically the article is saying that it is not a very correct move. Why? Because when we talk about India, you cannot bring overnight such kind of thing. Industry will not develop overnight, assembly cannot develop overnight. So overnight this cannot happen, you have to give the time. Now, and if we see the government of India's policies in the last few years, for example, PC and import have PC tablets, their import has been banned if you don't have importer's license. After this particular thing, we see that already there was 28% fall in 22-23 in the import of these particular items. Okay, but then we have done this particular thing also, so it will be impacting the consumer market. Moreover, understand one particular thing also guys, that it will also impact the India's consumer. Now we are doing the IT exports, service exports, and for that, if devices will not be there in adequate number, it might lead to negative implications on the software exports of India. Then many of the households guys today, small enterprise, they are by a lot of difficulty coming over the digital divide, and by using their computers, laptops, they are trying to take the advantage of government services. Now on one hand, government is promoting digital governance, digital India, but on another hand, we have imposed the ban on these particular kind of devices, which doesn't give a good impression. So government has to think about these particular policies more before coming it. I hope that you have understood it. And now we'll move to the next article. Stop the fence sitting in a cluster in cluster bomb use. Now this article will see with respect to the Russia-Ukraine war. So basically guys, recently what has happened, United States has decided that it will give the cluster munition to Ukraine. Now what are the cluster munition or the cluster bombs? So basically guys, the cluster bombs are these weapons which release multiple explosive or sub munitions. So basically, as in Diwali, you might have seen that you light up a rocket, and when it goes up in the sky, it bursts in hundreds or 200s or 300s of crackers. Okay, so in the same way, the cluster munitions are the munitions when they are launched, they will release multiple explosives which are called as bomblets. And these multiple explosives will cover a large area and will kill anybody who will come in between, animal, man, civilian, soldier, anyone. Sometimes these bomblets, they don't blow up instantly and they lie dormant in the land as a landmine, and after years and years, some civilian might step on them, it will burst and these innocent people will die. So because of this particular thing, these munition bombs are very much controversial. These munition bombs has been used by America, has been used in the Second World War, and America has used in Vietnam, Afghanistan, as well as in Iraq, and now the USA has given these bombs to the Ukraine. Now it has been provided that the Ukraine will use this particular bomb against the Russia, but innocent people will also be killed by this thing. Now, according to the Human Rights Watch, which is a civil society, it says Russia has already used these cluster bombs, munition bombs against the Ukraine, and now Ukraine will also use it. It will make war more deadly. it will make war more deadly. And it has been provided that because of the deadly nature of these munition bombs, many of the international groups have protested against these munition bombs. For example, there has been an international campaign against these particular bombs, and because of that, the Convention on Cluster Munition was signed in 2008. And there have been 112 countries that has signed this CCM, that is Convention on Cluster Munition, and even the NATO countries have signed it. For example, Canada, Germany, France, UK. But other countries such as USA, other countries such as US, Russia, China, Israel, India, they have not signed the CCM. Ukraine is also not a member of this CCM, that is the Convention on Cluster Munition. They have not signed it. The point is that when we talk about right now in the war, US, Russia, Ukraine are involved, and none of them are the signatory of this CCM convention. So they will say that we are not bound by the international law, and they will use it. Now, if we talk about the 1949 Geneva Convention, it provides excessive use of force that might cause incidental damage to civilian population, civilian property, but countries are not following it. These cluster bombs, they inherently will not be able to discriminate whether it is a civilian population, whether they are the soldiers. So civilian population will die, and it will lead to the violation of the 1949 Geneva Convention. So this is a concern which needs to be addressed immediately. Fine. So that is all, guys, about it. And now we'll move to the next article. Guys, if you are watching the video and if you are liking the video, guys, I just request you, please hit the like button, because every day it takes a lot of effort to make these videos. So please support our initiative. Focusing on 13th Amendment without policing powers practical. Now, before going on in this particular article, let's take some of the background information. Now, this particular article, guys, will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, India-Sri Lanka relations. Now, some background I need to tell you before telling what is this 13th Amendment. Now, understand this particular thing, guys, that when we talk about the Sri Lanka actually attained independence from British in 1948, and since then, now when we talk about the Sri Lanka, many of the plantation laborers from the Tamil Nadu were taken to Sri Lanka to work on the plantations. And when the Sri Lanka became independent, these Tamilians, after that, they were not treated properly. There was a lot of discrimination against our Tamilian brothers and sisters that were done by the Sri Lanka. Now, if we see Sri Lanka, largely the population in Sri Lanka are Sinhalese who follow Buddhism. So because of the cultural differences, there was not proper treatment that was given, and because of that frustration, many organizations protested against that. For example, Liberation of Tigers of Tamil Eelam was formed in 1976 to acquire a separate homeland for Tamilian in the Sri Lanka, and kind of a protest, a civil war type of situation also developed in Sri Lanka. Now, guys, when we talk about the India-Sri Lanka, there was India-Sri Lanka Accord that was signed between Indian Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi and Sri Lankan President in 1970. This particular accord was signed, okay, and this particular accord, just a minute. Yes. Just a minute. So this accord was signed in 1987, and as per this Indo-Sri Lanka Accord, it was provided that 13th Constitutional Amendment will be implemented. This 13th Constitutional Amendment Act actually provides more autonomy to the Jaffna region, northeast region of the Sri Lanka, where largely the Tamilian people are living. So it provides that if provincial council will be established, then a governor of provinces will be appointed and he will be given more powers. Then provincial councils membership and tenure will be decided. There will be a board of ministers. Then there will be finance commission. Tamil will be the official language for this region. English will be link language. High court for this northeastern region will be developed, and they will also be given the police power. This particular thing was agreed, but in the start it was opposed by both the Sinhala Nationalist Party as well as the LTTE. They said that one said too much has been given, one said too less has been given, and up till now more than 36 years have happened. Up till now, the 13th Constitutional Amendment Act has not been implemented. Now, Sri Lankan president has said that we will step by step implement the 13th Constitutional Amendment Act, and initially we want to implement 13th Constitutional Amendment Act without giving the police power, to the provinces. But the Tamil National Alliance, which is the largest parliamentary grouping of Tamil legislators in Sri Lanka, they have rejected this particular thing. They say policing power also needs to be given to the provinces of Sri Lanka where Tamilian people are living. And this issue has been struck going on. So this is, guys, all about it. Now moving to the next article. Amazon nations to jointly fight deforestation. Now, basically, guys, when we talk about the Amazon is the forest which is called as the lungs of the world, and the Amazon forest is actually scattered in South America in the countries which we will see here. Now, Amazon forest is scattered in Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, Brazil, Peru, Bolivia. Okay, these are the countries where the Amazon forest is contained. Now we see that the Amazon forest is facing a lot of destruction. There are the forest fires, a lot of explorations going on into the Amazon. Then there is urbanization also, which is entering towards the Amazon region. Because of that, Amazon region actually is declining. Now what has happened, 8 South American countries, they have come together and that's launched an alliance to fight deforestation in the Amazon region. They say that we need to control Amazon before it reaches a point of no return. And therefore what has happened, Amazon Cooperation Treaty Organization has adopted a new ambitious agenda for protecting the Amazon. The 8 countries which have joined this agenda is Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Guyana, Peru, Suriname and Venezuela. They have signed this joint declaration at Belém. Now where is Belém? Belém is at the mouth of the Amazon river. So this is something. Now this is the first summit of this grouping which was set up in 1995. So therefore it is important, and you need to know, you need to keep in mind the 8 countries which have signed this particular kind of pledge. So that is all, guys, about it. And now moving to the next article. To curb price rise, center to release more food grains stock by open market sale. Now basically, guys, we see this particular thing that food inflation has increased a lot. Now here they have given that the price of wheat has gone by 6.7% in retail market, 7.37% in wholesale market, etc. You are not required to track this price range, that how much percentage price has increased, because by the time your exam will come, this number will change, and also for exam we not need to go there. So the food inflation has increased, and because of this particular thing, now we need to release the wheat in the market so that the price of the wheat comes down. And for that particular thing, through the open market sale scheme, the government will be releasing the wheat in the market. What is the open market sale scheme? Under the open market sale scheme, government will allow the private parties, even the state governments, that they can procure the food grains from the government and can sell that into the market so that the supply reaches. Now you know this particular thing, that many number of times the inflation is also because of the demand supply mismatch that is there. If supply is more and if demand is more and supply is not there, inflation will increase. So if demand is more, we need to increase the supply, and by open market sale scheme, government will be selling the food grain into the open market, and by that government will fulfill the demand through the adequate supply. Okay, beyond that, guys, no need to read anything beyond this thing. Okay. Now the main practice question: what are the small nuclear modular reactors? What differentiates them from conventional nuclear power plants? So that is all, guys, about the article for the today. And guys, just one thing I want to share on the personal note, that basically this is already 8:15 that we have done this particular analysis, and I have class from 8:40. Now the point is that I have a classes for around 5 hours every day. Then there is this video. It actually takes a lot of hard work, and I try my very best that we give you the best of the best content. Fine. Please support the initiative by liking the video and by leaving your comments. Now, why we need your support? It is because that if you will show the engagement on video, then YouTube algorithm will support the videos and will show the videos to the people who might be interested in this kind of content, and that will promote our initiative. And if our initiative gets promoted, we will be able to come out with even better different other contents also for you. So thank you so much. Now we'll meet tomorrow.